Hi there, this is Eric Ridley, Senior Editor of AntMania.com, reporting from SIIM 2019 here in Denver. I'm joined today by Herman Oosterwijk, a consultant with OTEC.
Okay.
And thanks for joining us today, Herman.
Absolutely, thank you, appreciate it.
Great. What have you seen so far here at SIIM? Any trends that you're seeing out there?
Yeah, first of all, I thought the overall mentality, the overall mood was very, very positive. There's a lot of excitement over medical informatics, and I think earlier on there was this discussion about how SIIM evolved from like particularly 2010 COVID web and then had the old EMR onslaught that people are that was sucking out all the money from medical informatics, and it's really definitely a much more positive mood, and I see everything is up, so positive in general.
Okay. And a lot of activity around enterprise imaging?
Enterprise imaging, yeah. Thank you for asking. Enterprise imaging is one of my pet peeves, and that's very challenging. It's very challenging. And let me give you three approaches, I think, about what you can do with regard to enterprise imaging.
Okay.
First of all, will be top-down. What I mean by top-down is you have a VNA for radiology, cardiology, and so we'll do also some other departments. The problem is that every department has a different workflow. So some of the departments use a modality work list, some they use an H7 feed, sometimes they don't do anything, they just upload the images, and you have to do orders after the fact. And actually I listed all of the different permutations, and they came up to more than 100. So I think enterprise imaging, if you do the top-down approach and take your existing VNA and try to, one by one, not really looking at all the different workloads and add them to, I think it's setting yourself up for chaos. Now, the other approach, instead of the top-down, will be the bottom-up. And I, instead of calling the bottom-up, I actually call it the Stanford approach, because that's what they did.
Okay.
So they started with an VNA, and several years ago, and they started with one department. And so they took, I think it was the endoscopy, they took the MPEX, the APEX, and documents. And of course they had to struggle because they said we're going to do modality work list, and it's the workflow, people didn't like it, but after the images became available in the OR, they got super excited. So after they did that one department, then everybody said, well, we need the images too in the EMR. And then the next one came up, well, you have to do this. Okay, let's do the workflow. And then again, they were first frustrated, but then it worked. And by now, they have several departments with one workflow. Right? Okay. So can you imagine the difference? Now, I think it might not be necessarily always feasible to do one workflow. So I think the hybrid approach, I think, is probably the most feasible. And I call it also the Mayo approach. And I've seen it at the Mayo Clinic. They have actually identified 5 distinct workflows.
Okay.
And they cover pretty much everything from dental to ophthalmology. And with a hybrid approach, they have 5 different workflows. Sometimes they create an order after the fact, sometimes before the fact, so they have sometimes an apps. So these are the 3 different approaches. I think when you start interface imaging, do the hybrid approach. Or bottom-up, actually preferred, if you can do that, but do the top-down and do one department at a time, with each one different workflow. It's going to be very, very hard to manage.
All right, so back in April, you wrote an article for us that was very popular with the readers. Sure. About, you shared your vision for how you think the next generation PACS will evolve. I'm curious if, as you've been here at SIIM, if you've noticed any progress towards that vision.
Yeah, actually I was, to be honest, a little bit disappointed. Yeah, I think, basically what I described in the future of PACS is that I think, from PACS driven to risk driven, we really want to be EMR driven. And so, the physician wants to see everything for the patient, and then click on the little icon and you get the images. And really very slow adaptation, I think, and several reasons, they're still in PACS contracts, and they don't just buy equipment but everybody today has an EMR, so you should be able to do it. But I think we were getting there, but not with the speed that I expect. And I think it's more financial and project management and change issues. I think if everybody had the opportunity to start with a clean slate today, they would do it right away. But I think it will be slow. But there's progress for sure. Yeah.
Is there any particular areas of focus you'd like to see placed on for curing some of the problems in imaging informatics?
Yeah, well, AI, of course, that's why. So kind of glad to see, AI was a big hype at RSNA, and I'm kind of glad that it's not is hypey, so to speak.
Right.
So that, you know, everybody now is to, okay, well, and so they identified key areas that it works, you know, the workflow improvement, defining hanging protocols. You know, they can automatically detect the P or lateral from a chest and say whether it goes to the left or to the right. And so I think there are some small incremental changes that can be made by AI. And I think it's very, very positive. In the meantime, there will be work in many years for all the algorithms to work. Also, there's a lot of FDA approvals that still have to be done, and
Sure.
FDA needs to get on board. So, but I was positive that it was not. People now, I think, became a little bit aware of what it can do for you and what it cannot, and they start to implement it little by little. And so, not instead of like, oh, okay, we don't need radiologists in 5 years anymore, you know, that kind of
Right.
idea.
That nonsense.
So I thought we're kind of over that. So, and I think that's very positive. So yeah.
All right, great. Well, thanks, Herman. I really appreciate your insight.
Okay, of course. Thank you always.
Thank you. This is Eric Ridley signing off for AntMini.com.